Welcome to Zen PC. Today we're going to be covering Ally ROG X against the Steam Deck OLED, FPS numbers, a complete in-depth comparison. Every single new feature on the ROG X will be covered in this video. ROG Ally X will be releasing on July 22nd, 2024. Costing $100 more than the Z1 Extreme with the price of $799 USD. So let's go ahead and get into some of these charts and go over every detail in comparison to this brand new handheld. We're looking at the same Zen 4 Z1 Extreme chip here. There's no major changes, no changes at all in fact. No IPC increase or core clock increase, for which the Ally already had the lead on both decks. It was already a winner there. Now, things start to change when we get to the battery and power profiles. For the X, they're going to be 2 to 3 watts higher on every mode versus the Z1 Extreme. And when it comes to battery life of the X, it's more than double the run time, and it will beat the OLED by a large margin using the same 15 max watts that the deck is using. It will also, at the very least, meet in most use cases using the 27 watt brand new power profile. Battery mode and battery life were the foremost points for Asus. And adding even more performance by upping the watts, that was just a nice to have for them. They felt confident, however, enough to raise all the power profile because they could comfortably achieve both of these goals. We're also getting 8 more gigs of DDR5, 7500 mega transfers versus the 16 gig, 6400 mega transfers on the Extreme and the OLED. And we'll get more into that and how it affects the performance a little later on in the video. But on storage capacity, our next talking point on our chart, we have a double of storage. It's now 1 terabyte, and it'll only be available in one model. It's also a full 2280 instead of the 2230 on all the other handhelds. And the screen, it's staying the same for the most part. Same 120 Hz, VRR, 1080p. Now, they are adding a DXC coating for added durability and easier viewing in direct light situations. That being said, I'd gladly take the VRR over the OLED with the lack of VRR support. Now, it will be slightly heavier. The Extreme was lighter than either Steam Deck, and now the X is going to be heavier than both of them. So the rest of these changes start on the I/O number 4 with the addition of a Type-C USB 4 with Thunderbolt support. It's also the only device that is not using a proprietary external GPU, which you're paying desktop prices for mobile performance. And we have 100 watt charging capabilities on the Ally X. The analog sticks are going to see a 2.5% increase and durability, and they also supposedly feel smoother versus the Extreme. The back buttons, I'd say those are a tie, with both decks supporting 4 rear buttons, and the Ally X having dual omnidirectional buttons on the rear of the device. Now, for the first one for the Steam Deck and Steam Deck OLED, we have the dual trackpads, which are obviously absent on both Allys. Also, having a hassle-free console-like experience is valuable to some, and having a full Windows device, which may be a little bit finicky, is also a value for others. Now, to the FPS numbers. I calculated these numbers by figuring out how much the wattage improves percentage-wise at 15 watt versus 17 watt on the Z1 Extreme over 15 different games. Then, I calculated the percent of FPS you would get with more and faster RAM on the 780M, which the Z1 Extreme uses on an average of on the same 15 games. And I added those two together, and then I added that percentage to the Z1 Extreme benchmarks and now you have the Ally ROG X.